From the studios of TvGrace International, here are the ineffable words of God. The gospel of grace on the lips of the man Christ Jesus. Abba, Father.
Let's all look up Romans chapter 15, verse 13. Romans chapter 15, verse 13. It says, "Now may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing." Repeat it with me. Now may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing. It is important to note that in the Old Testament, one had to rely on their own efforts and bravery in order to receive blessings. This required a great deal of hard work. However, despite these efforts, one could never truly experience complete joy. No matter how much you did, you could not attain joy and even less peace because the law does not give peace to anyone. However, according to the Apostle Paul, it is better to be filled with hope rather than joy because joy is temporary. He mentions that God should fill you with all joy because joy is a fruit of the Spirit. In other words, inside you are a very complete person. All the needs of the human being worldwide are within them rather than in God. Already God has already made all good to be in our spirit. That is why Jesus Christ, in the days of his flesh, once said to the apostles, "The flesh profits nothing. In the flesh you offer sacrifices, keep ceremonies, fast, follow prohibitions, smear ointments, oils, all those things that are made for the flesh." But Jesus said, look, the flesh profits nothing. Implying that in the Spirit, in your spirit, there is life. Our job is to reach a neighbor, a person, and with delicacy, simplicity, and respect, enter inside that person. To get inside a person, you need to be very docile. You cannot be rude. You have to take it little by little until you tell him, "Did you know that with one offering when Jesus Christ died, he made his spirit perfect forever?" It is in believing, and believing is manifested by the mouth. Not in what you do, but it is the mind and the mouth. When you receive something in your mind and pass it to your mouth, our job is to take it to the inside, to look inside. Because if you look outside, there are all kinds of weaknesses, inadequacies. On the outside, we have so many inadequacies. And we are disappointed with the outside. The outside is what has this world in turbulence. But on the inside, if we take the person inside, the Samaritan woman had 5 husbands, and the one she had was not her husband. But Jesus managed to reach her interior. And for the moment, there was a manifestation of joy, because on the outside there was shame. On the outside there was no hope. What can a woman who has 5 husbands expect? 5 husbands take a long time in the life of a woman. 2 years with one, 1 year with another, 3 years with another, and there are many abuses, many things that hurt the woman's mind until her esteem reaches the floor and there is no one to help her. Which Pharisee could help that woman in those days? Which religion? None, but he appeared, the one who knows how to reach inside, and he said to her, "Woman, I have a water that if I give you that water, you will be happy, your thirst will be quenched." And he managed to make that woman happy. That is the reason why present-day religions are unsuccessful in fulfilling their objectives. Religion disappoints. Don't you realize that it is necessary to meet certain requirements in order to gain acceptance in the eyes of others? However, we are not involved in matters concerning religion. Do you know why? Because we talk about things that come from before the foundation of the world, where there were no religions. We are dealing with your inner self. And then it is necessary for each one of us to come to believe in such a way that we have joy and peace. That is the idea. If you have joy and peace, you go through any circumstance in this life and you go through it peacefully. Now for that you have to believe. Say believe. So in order for you to believe, you have to confess. Look, in faith, it is a faith-based edition. Confessing, I walk by faith. Hello. Confessing. Now the confession of your mouth has three manifestations. First, there is the information for you to confess, which is the logo, the word. An information that you receive that God needs you to believe in order for you to be filled with joy and peace. Then comes an information, but after that information comes a certainty. There must be certainty of what you are going to confess. There must be certainty and conviction. For example, let's quickly go to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Hebrews chapter 11. 11 verse 1, see what faith is. If the person next to you does not have a Bible, lend him yours and read both together. Look what it says. Now faith is the substance of what? The evidence of what? The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So the first thing, look, the first thing is information. God says that He in believing can fill me with joy. You know how many people are joyless in this country? They have no joy because what they possess is joy for what they have. So what they possess gives them a certain joy, what they have. But since they do not possess, they do not have joy. Now if you have joy, even if you don't possess, you are full of joy, it gives you a good attitude. So in believing there is information, then comes certainty and conviction. The conviction of what is not seen. So you are going to confess. You are going to confess what is not seen. Then the third step is angelic audience, when the angels, based on the fact that you confess through what is written, the angels say, we have to give a hearing to what that person is saying on earth. We are going to back it up. Angels are going to bring you miracles, wonders, and marvels. They know how to do that. Because this world is surrounded by angels. The Bible says so. It says, are these not all ministering spirits in the service of the heirs of salvation? So we have angels, and they get in where you let them. They meddle in the slightest. Yesterday in Tamara, I was telling the brothers that when I was in Guatemala, I was late. I could not call the operator to wake me up at a certain time so I would not miss the flight back to Miami. I didn't bring my alarm clock. I had left it behind. And then I just laid down and said, angels, wake me up. I don't want to miss the flight, because missing the flight is one more day without the family, one more day of hotel, one more day of hotel meals, and it's boring to stay one day too long when you are already scheduled to return on a certain day. At about 6 o'clock in the morning, they hit me in the thigh. They made me like this. And I said, thank you, angels. They are even alarm clocks. In every situation, they become engaged, actively engaged. Naturally, there are rules. There are rules. There has to be something written. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Because you can't just confess anything. There has to be something to support that confession. Second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4. Verse 13. This is a recipe I'm going to give you to change your life. If this is the first time you are here, you are off to a good start. You know that in the secular, you have to say what the first lesson is. They tell you you have to start over there and study. Not here. Here you arrive today. And that is the first lesson. Because everything fits. Eventually everything fits. The first lesson is this. In case you have missed any for some time. And this recipe, I guarantee you that it changes lives. Look, this is my life. I haven't been in a hospital for 33 years. 33 years without going to a hospital. I don't take medicine. I don't spend on doctors. Excuse me if there is a doctor present. However, I believe doctors are pleased when one doesn't have to incur expenses for medication. I live by what I talk about. I walk by faith, confessing. Confessing, it doesn't work that way automatically because angels are very careful characters that if you take all the dominion over them, imagine you would manipulate them. Then it's kind of yes and kind of no. God uses them in a way that I do. See how that works. I know they work, but I never realize how I confess it. Now, when I do a sum, after a certain time, something tells me, how did you achieve this? And I say, hey, it's true, it was the angels. But they do it in a way that you don't realize, because otherwise you're going to tend to manipulate them. You will tend to manipulate them, ignoring your own responsibilities. Imagine if they give you eternal rest there and you don't move an eye. I know, for example, I have not done anything for nations to rule 20 countries. I started here in a radio talking and sending angels to open doors. Angels, because I have done nothing else. I have simply spoken. This has grown because there are beings that have no body, who like what we are doing and what we are saying, and there in their meetings they say, we have to support what he says because it is written. Let's see it in 2 to the Corinthians 4:13. Take a moment to read and comprehend it because it holds relevance. Look, it says, and since we have the same spirit of faith, having what? Is the word spirit capitalized there? Giving you to understand what? That having the same attitude of faith. But what is the same attitude of faith that Paul is talking about here? The one that Jesus of Nazareth in the days of his flesh used. With that attitude, he stopped the winds, he healed the sick, he performed miracles. So that same spirit, that same attitude, Paul says, having the same spirit of faith. Now hear the prescription, because there is the power of you. Look, we have the same spirit of faith according to what? As you wish. To what is written, I believed, and therefore what? We also what? And therefore what? Do we meditate? Be careful with meditations, that transcendental meditation, yoga meditation. To elevate yourself, looking for a mystical experience, to make your hair stand up. Some people love that. Look, and you know they feel, but that's flesh. These are your personal desires that lead nowhere. Here the recipe is from heaven. Heaven's recipe for you, for the nations. For those who watch this video all over the world, where thousands are hearing God through this talk. How is God going to talk to you today? How is He going to do it? You will go to a mountain over there and you will say, my God, talk to me. He will tell you to go to Jose Luis. That he will tell you the same thing in writing. So, check it out. Having the same spirit of faith according to what is written. The data is what is written, isn't it? Hello. Here there is no religion. It doesn't matter if you are Catholic, if you are spiritualist, if you are Jehovah's Witness. Look, whoever goes there does not have to have a sign saying, I belong to such and such a religion. Whoever goes there, the angels answer him. Because these are spiritual laws. This is to bless all types of people. To everyone who believes, in what is written. You know that God is not mean. The Bible says that God sends rain on the unjust and on the just. When you are praying for rain because you planted some tomatoes there and some little things there in your little piece of land, and you say, my God, if it would rain, look how dry the land is. Well, look, next to you lives a mafioso who is a thief. And then the rain also fell on him, and he says, good thing it rained. And you praying, God is not mean, God blesses. And these laws, whoever uses them, it works for him, whether it's good, whether it's bad, it works. God is not mean. It would be good for you to be good. So if you are good, behave well, and at the same time use these laws, they will work in your favor. So notice, the important thing here is your mouth, that you speak, even if you think you're half crazy. Because sometimes you go in the car, I don't get this. Sometimes you are running out of gas, you forgot to put gas in. Oh, Father, and you start talking there. I confess that I get there, Father, I confess that I get there. And then the one next to you looks at you. Next to my house, before there were no houses and I could walk and talk and they didn't see me. But now there are about 7 windows on this side, and I'm sometimes walking in the morning, exercising, and I'm confessing, Father, thank you for this word. Lord, I say more are coming, Father. I receive, Father. I receive that they are reigning in life in such a place. And I am speaking, and on my lips it shows, those who see me must say, he must be crazy. Hey, that guy talks to himself. If it was meditating, I would just close my lips and meditate, think about it. But it's just that the recipe is, I believe. Therefore, I believed, therefore I speak. I speak. It is necessary to speak. Say, we must speak. Say, I speak. Say, I am blessed, I am healthy, I am enriched, I have all joy. I have peace. Do you know what peace means? Absence of tensions. Do you know what peace is? Jesus Christ was in a boat and a storm came and he was sleeping. And the 11 apostles said, hey, but how can this man be sleeping in the middle of a storm? The man was at peace, and he who is at peace, even if there is a storm outside, is at peace. Does not reflect it. His face does not reflect it. You live in a world of people in tension. Here in Miami, it's a wonderful place to hear tension on the radio and see all kinds of complaints. People complaining. They complain a lot, don't they? But you can't imitate that. You have to renew yourself and be renewed in the spirit of your mind by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Romans 12, 1 and 2. Then the word must be confessed. It says we have the same spirit of faith according to what is written. You have to say, I have self-control, I have self-control. Paul says, let every man be self-controlled. I am my own master. I'm not going to complain. If the doctor says I have this, I'm going to proceed calmly so that the disease is scared off. I will not despair. My calmness will tell my body. It will send messages. The position of my spirit is so powerful that my body will not resist it. Hello? Pastor, are they two different ones? Let's look at Galatians 5:17 so you can see the information there. Galatians 5:17. Because you have to have this kind of information so that you know how to defend yourself against the contrariety that exists also in you. This is a message of reigning with priesthood. Reigning with priesthood. You are reigning in life and exercising your priesthood, dusting off your priesthood. There are mouths out there that look full of mold. Look, the jaw barely moves. It is necessary to put WD-40 oil, that kind, to loosen the jaw. Because when problems come your way, you tend to think and not confess. Hello, to think about the problem, and the problem robs you. It steals the oil from your jaw and you remain silent, meditating on your problem. Instead of giving it confession, giving it a word, I do not receive you. I say, I am blessed. Submit. Look what it says here. It says, for the desire of the flesh is against what? And the one of the Spirit is against what? So what? For these, say these. They oppose each other in order to keep you from doing whatever you want. These plural does not say one. You are not a piece of flesh. There are people who tell you, no, forget it. You are a perfect unit. No, you are not a unit. You are duo. You are flesh and spirit. And then your flesh is true to its nature. The thing about the flesh is you know it. It is to make you unhappy. That's what the flesh was sent to do, to make you miserable. Do you want to be miserable? Just be yourself. Be yourself. The flesh wants to oppose you. The flesh cannot afford for you to live according to the Spirit. You do not see that your spirit is a treasure and there are beauties there. It's not that God is going to send beauty, it's that He has already sent it. It's in there. You have all kinds of provision within you in your spirit. Do you know what Paul said? We have this treasure in a vessel of clay. So what about the flesh? It opposes. Say, it opposes. But what does it say there? That the Spirit is also opposed. I said on Wednesday and yesterday of the example of the two little dogs. The young boy who went to the old man and said, Dad, grandfather, how has your Christian experience been? He was just coming to church, wasn't he? And then I was talking to an old man who had been reading the Bible for more than 60 years. And he said to him, tell me something. What is the experience? What conclusion have you reached? And then the old man said to him, look, my love, this is a daily struggle. It is as if you had two puppies. One opposes this way and the other one opposes that way. Let's say that the white puppy represents the spirit and the black puppy represents your flesh, and they oppose each other daily. And the young man said to him, but who wins? And the old man said, it depends on who I am giving more food to. Hello. So if you imagine, Wednesday it's raining, I'm not going. Sunday comes and you sit back there and a blessed guy comes and sits next to you, one of those guys who likes to talk a lot, and he says, look at this, it's unsafe out there, be careful. And then the food passing you in front like this. And then you don't feed your spirit. But if you feed your spirit as you are doing this morning, for which I congratulate you, you are going to raise a confession, a power. Because look, the matter is in your hands. He has already blessed you. You are already complete, for by one offering, He made you perfect forever. It is in your hands. But you have to be careful what kind of spirit is accompanying you, because it is having the same spirit of faith. But there are other spirits that get in, for example, spirits of sadness. The one who broke up with the girlfriend and is looking for music of why did she leave me? You know, I like all kinds of secular music. I like Luis Miguel, the other one. All kinds of music that comes out, all kinds of talent. I admire that they are God's talents, but the problem is that there are some of those boleros that put you in another spirit. Then they make you weak. You know, they make you weak. Then you have to be careful. What kind of music are you listening to? Because that music puts you in a state of weakness. We are all weak in the flesh here, but you can't make excuses for that too much. When you see an individual who says, "Brother, do not look at me according to the flesh." Look, don't be so legalistic. You know we are weak and always defending weakness. You cannot excuse yourself in that because you are weak. Imagine getting into a spirit of, "I am weak." You have to get into the same spirit of faith. The flesh opposes, and the Spirit also opposes. The flesh opposes, and you oppose. You have to fight with yourself. I don't receive you. When you're feeling down, when you're confined within the same four walls, when you're without a job or occupation, and at the moment it comes not poverty but scarcity. And you're at home, and suddenly your mom is sick. Bad news comes from your country, and you are locked up. And suddenly your husband came and mistreated you, or someone spoke to you badly. Someone did not understand you, because remember that you are a being that needs a lot of love. I have been a person who has needed a lot of love, and I know that. So that is a weakness of mine. So I have to be careful, because I can get a little melancholic and make others feel sorry for me, because it depends on the spirit. You have to know yourself well. You can't fool yourself. And so all of us are people with a lot of needs to be recognized, to have someone come along and say how hard you've tried and how well you've done. You like it when someone encourages you and speaks well of you, don't you? Hey, I congratulate you. I like your personality. I like the way you accomplish things. I like the way you dress. Hey, where do you do your hair? Where's this? Those clothes, where do you buy them? You feel good, don't you? It's nice to be made to feel that way, but it's not always like that. Sometimes you are locked up. That lady who is locked in the house and is troubled. She feels lonely, she goes out crying, and she unburdens herself by crying. And that crying thing, sometimes it's good, but after you're done with it, you have to find a good spirit. We have the same spirit of faith according to what is written. I believed and therefore I spoke. You need to talk. Because if you don't speak, misery will eat you up. If you don't speak the word of God, you're going to have scares even if you're blessed. See that you are blessed and complete and free from the devil and free from sin and free from the law and free from condemnation. But God left something for you to do. He doesn't want your works, but fruit of lips that confess His name. That's all He left you. That's why He said, my burden is light and easy to carry. Imagine that when I travel, I stay 3 days, 4 days. I go with a small suitcase with 2 wheels and a small bag here. I carry nothing else. I go through the airport quietly. And with that little suitcase, I carry a book called the Gospel, and with that I make the nations happy. What I carry cannot be stolen from me. And I change lives, I change nations, I change lives, I change the course of entire people. And what I carry can't be stolen. Do you know why? Because it is a book that almost nobody understands. Then I have a decoder that when I get in here, I decode it because this is an annoying book at the same time. This is one of the worst books ever written. This is a book that has the ability to spoil your life and suck the joy and life out of it, to destroy you and leave you dry as an old leaf. In the letter, the lyrics kill. But I have the interpretation to give the letter life. And then that's the grace of God. And when I take that and I give it to an old lady who is over there destroyed, who is waiting for the priest to come to give her a mass, and she is tired of doing that and lighting a candle and praying to the saint of her devotion. And then when I come to her and say, Grandma, you are blessed with every blessing. Look in there, your spirit, Jesus Christ, made you perfect forever. You are more than blessed. There are angels on your behalf, and by now that grandma is starting to open her mouth.